What's up, Buck fans? It is AJ Turnip here. This is the Aftermath on 102.9 Game Broad Street South Radio. It's do or die time, Buck fans. We're going to break down tonight me, AJ Turnip, and Coach Slick, a.k.a. the British guys always fly, and who is on standby. We're going to break down the Buccaneers playing the Panthers, and we got to figure out what the hell we're going to do if this ship has sunken or not. So stay tuned.
We did practice well. I practiced hard. Everything looked like it clicked in practice this week. We had 3 good days of practice. He had a good week of practice. He had a good couple weeks. He's practicing good. We like the way he comes to practice every day. We'll have a good practice tomorrow. He's been practicing great. He's 2 weeks in a row now, as well as some good practices as well. So he had a good week of practice. Ron practiced well last week, and I thought he's been practicing well right now, so they have a good week of practice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, can't take you serious at this moment right now, Bulls. But what's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in tonight at the Aftermath on 102.9, the Game Broad Street South Radio. It's one of your hosts, AJ. Turn up in the house right now. I hope y'all doing all right. Hope your Saturday's going well. Hope December is good for you so far. Remember, guys, it's not how you always start, it's how you finish. And that is a message, not just to the Buccaneers, but to you folks out there in life right now. I hope this last month, due to the holidays coming, I know times are very hard out here with inflation, just families and everything. And when the holidays come down, you feel a little low because we all want to have a little something, and we just want to finish the year off strong. So my hearts and prayers and thoughts and blessings to everyone out there before we get into the Buck talk. I really hope everyone at the end of this month and the end of the year, you find some peace and happiness for all the blessings for the future and years to come. But right now, that is something that we want to instill in this Buccaneers organization, because again, this is do or die time, Buck fans. It really is. And I say that because we're playing the Carolina Panthers, but as of right now, they are like one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst. They are 1-10, so it's not even respectable to call them by the names. They are the Carolina because that's exactly what they have been playing, like feline. Bryce Young, I don't know. It's his first year, but welcome to the NFL. And not the welcome that you wanted, but that is exactly what happens when you could have had CJ Stroud, but you went with Bryce Young. This is why I don't believe in the hype train all the time, Buck fans. Every time when people say this draft is going to be loaded with quarterbacks, this draft is going to be this draft is going to have all that, you know you are still guessing. We can all hope, but it's so funny how when I guess and say, hey, how about we give Trask a shot, people just shut me down saying I'm out of my mind, I'm stupid, you're crazy, all because of what? Oh, you're guessing, AJ, but aren't you guessing in this draft? I don't give a shit what somebody has done in college. How many times do you have to see this, Buck fans, that college doesn't always necessarily mean it's going to translate to the NFL? How many times have we seen players that were studs in college, then they get to the NFL, and you're like, wow, this person was just only good because he was supported with another good team in college, or the speed of the game got the best of him, or it's a lot of times it's shitty coaching. But right now, we need to focus on what the Bucs have at this moment. And at this time, I just want this Bucs team to win. I want them to do well. And yes, Christopher Cole, thank you for joining. Well, we're going to see if we can live without Devin White. I think that's another thing. We're going to break all this down, guys. So this is going to be a good night to talk football, because especially Buck ball. Again, I'm not here to say that I'm trying to shit on this team, but what I'm trying to do is light a fire under this coaching staff. Hear me out as I take my sip. Don't worry about what it is. It's libation. Good libation. Truth serum. here's the thing. You can't lose to the Carolina Panthers. You cannot lose to a team like this. If you really want to get things on the line, that means, hey, cheers. There he is. Coach Slick, everybody, a.k.a. the British guys always fly. And I told you he's on standby. But before we even get more to the show, I want you to continue, Buck fans out there, to spread the word. Show your love and support for Coach Slick with the intern coaching job. If you need to, again, if you want to see his accolades, you can go to my video on It's About Buck and Time, where the title is just simply Coach Slick, because he is who he is. So
love you, brother.
Please continue to support this man and get him in there. All we need is an opportunity. All he is looking for is an opportunity to the Buccaneers organization. Right now, no matter what happens, this is your guy right here. And we want to show our full love and support. So thank you again, Coach Slick. So again, Coach Slick is getting there, guys. Help him get there. Getting there.
That's the first stage. I couldn't believe it.
Right.
I could not believe it. I got that message back within an hour of applying.
That's good.
I was like, fuck. I was expecting to, I'm really sorry, blah, 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 really busy. And I looked and I was read and I was like, huh? And I just turned around to my wife and went, fuck, I got to do some more work. I've got to break down some plays.
That's right. Look, actions speak for itself and resumes speak for itself. That's all it is. You got the resume.
It's hard work, man. That's all I can say. It's hard work.
It's hard work, but it's also, it might be a good sign. It might mean that things is, look, for Bowles, it's like, this is not looking good for Bowles.
I can no longer talk about the coaching staff of this.
Oh, no, you don't have to. I will. This is what I mean.
I know,
for the Buccaneers organization. I'm talking to Buck fans right now. This is do or die. You do not play this game well, and I don't give a damn that Levante's out. I don't give a damn that Devin White is out. I don't care that Savase is out with illness. I don't even care if Godwin is out. As much as I want Godwin out, because I want him to get his love and flowers statistically, but right now you are the better team. The Panthers are a dumpster fire at this point. They are literally top two worst teams. This is a 1 in 10 team. Now, again, this is what we're talking about, Slick. We want to believe that this team has not sunken that low. And I got to get all the bad news out of the way first, because I wouldn't be who I am. I'm with my Bucs team, but I'm also a fair assessment. Again, if I get an opportunity to you Buccaneers organization like Glazers, the first thing of business is I'm not just a fan of the Bucs. I'm a fan of the game, and I am about the Bucs' success. So with that, I'm just telling you right now, if the worst case scenario, if this Bucs team does not prepare and they just some way lose at this point, and I'm not saying quit, but now you have to evaluate people who weren't given the opportunity. And what I mean by that, you're Kyle Trask. What I mean by that, other players who are still injured, let them sit out a little longer. There's no need. Get some young guys and see what they are made of. Because at this point, you can't hold on to a false hope. Now, I want to get on to you again, Slick. I want to ask you this.
Yep.
Like, what is your comfortability level with this Bucs team going up against, mind you, we remember this is a team that beat us with an interim head coach last season, and the great Brady only had mustered 3 points. What is your comfortability of this Bucs team playing at home to take care of business?
I'm not as comfortable, but we should feel comfortable. We should be looking across that field and going, beat, got him. Who are we playing here? That should be the mindset. And not that, don't play down to them. Don't think it's going to be an easy ride, because you ain't won until you won, until that final whistle goes, or until those, you see triple digits, you see quadruple digits, and they're all got 0 on. That's when you know the game's done. That's when you can turn around and go, wow, that was an easy game. Don't come into this game thinking it's already on the table. You've already got that W. If you have that, you'll probably lose. That's right. Because this team is hungry to prove themselves. Yes. Especially when a team, you usually find a little bit of resurgence in a team that's just lost a head coach. the new guy comes in, he's trying to revitalize the team, and sometimes there are a few players he's going to speak to that it clicks with. They're like, yeah, that guy's speaking my language. That guy's speaking my language because he's been in that room for a long time, right? He knows what's being said, and he knows the body language of the players, and maybe he knows that Frank Wright wasn't the play. He didn't really have the players' full attention, so he might be there going, I know what I can say to get this bunch going. I know what it says, what I want to say to this bunch to get them to go and play. And there's nothing more that you want to play for than a divisional game, because that is the middle finger to the rest of it doesn't matter how many. Like when we beat the Saints back in 2014, we didn't give it doesn't matter. We still beat the Saints,
Yeah.
because it was who it was, not the fact that we won a game. It was the case of we won a game and it was someone we really didn't like. Now, I know there's not a massive rivalry between, like, the rivalry's not dirty between these two teams, but it's still in division. It's still saucy. It's still, there's spice on the table,
Yes.
And we always say we don't call them rivalry games over. We call them derbies. I prefer rivalry. It sounds better. We always say that players always want to play in these games because it's kind of like, we don't like you, you don't like us. There's spice to it. It's a flavoursome game, but we got to make sure that we take care of business and we add our flavour. Get that flavour on and let it put a bad taste in their mouths, and we can walk. Their billionaire owner can turn around and go, I got patience. Well, you ain't going to have patience if we keep beating on you.
Yes, more than that. And another thing, you just said it. These Panther players, they're going to be resurged because now evaluation is on the line. Their livelihood is on the line.
Oh, yeah.
Now with the coach being fired.
Anyone on a one-year contract or where their guaranteed money is so low that they can be cut and be a cap casualty or whatever, those guys, yeah.
It's one of those situations where the urgency has literally picked up. And as you said, this would be a perfect time for the Panthers to say, you know what? We don't even want the Bucs to even think they have a chance anymore after this game. How about we ruin that? How about we can be the team where, let's just say, the crazy thing is, because the Bucs lose to the Panthers, they can win another set of games, but it doesn't matter because the Panthers beat you and it keeps you away. What if the Panthers are that one team, that one game that you didn't get right, and they're the ones who ended it for you? They ended your run as back-to-back NFC South champions. Now
back to back.
Yep. Now the Panthers can say, we did that.
Yeah.
Like an example, when the Bucs beat we beat the Saints in 2009 when the Saints went to the Super Bowl. I like that, just the simple fact that loss probably humbled them and say, we got to stay strong. We got to stay hungry. Otherwise, if we go to the playoffs, a team like that we think that we're better than can beat us. Sometimes.
What about when we beat the Saints? I think they had to play Minnesota and they had the game where he went yeah. All that crazy, or the Rams game or something. There's one of those games we set them up to play that team.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chris Godwin had the touchdown that walked off the game and finished the game off and iced it off, and that was like, oh, right, okay. So we messed with where they had to sit in the playoffs. I think they were number one, they dropped to number 2 or something like that. So everyone was like, it's not a must-win game. But it was a must-win game for them because you want the top spot.
That's right. You want the top spot. And again, it's about bragging rights and respect. The Saints don't want to lose to the Bucs ever, especially because they have a complex where it's like, why would we lose to them? Trust me, rival games matter. And this is why we're not Buc fans. We're not here to say that the Bucs are going to lose, but we're saying that the Bucs should have the urgency. There is no reason that this game should be close, Buc fans. In my opinion, Slick, I don't think this game should be close. This is where both sides of the coaches are going to have to really get their shit together. Now, I want to start, because it's so easy. I want to start with Bowles. Bowles, I know that Levante and Devin is going to be out. I know Savarse is going to be out. I know Green is going to be out. But this is where you're the coaching guru, right? This is where you're going to show me, do you know how to do something that we have always said that you lack, even when you had your starters, is adjust. So are you going to do more cushion coverage?
I don't know if cushion coverage makes. I mean, this is the fear I have in the run, because that's what you need a Levante David for. That's what you need a Devin White for. With the way it is, you're going to have to expect that line to play at a higher caliber, because who's the linebackers after those guys? Let's be honest. Can you name them?
Just Yaya, KJ
No,
Britt.
no. They're not inside linebackers.
Oh yeah, KJ Britt.
KJ, yeah, he is.
KJ Britt is I think he can be solid. The reason why I say this, if you are the Bucs Bowls, this is where your coaching expertise, wink wink, Slick would come in. Sometimes less is more. Just go to the basics. Let this Panthers offense beat you out of your basics. Now, if they are able to go through your basics, that's when you can go, okay, let's get to something more complex so they can be confused. The Panthers don't have a DJ Moore anymore. They don't have a guy that can burn you up and down the field. So there is no reason to respect them as if they are. And even if they try, again, Bryce Young has not been setting the world on fire. He's having a really bad season because he's on a bad team. That's not.
So you're starting if Sebastian Dennis does not jump in. It's going to be KJ Britt and JJ Russell.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I believe
25 years of age and 25 years of age. So this will be a very young group.
And I like that because at least the athleticism will be there. I think their youth is on their side. All you need to do is keep the scheme simple. There's no need to make things hard for them.
There's a job on the there's a job available because I mean I'd be shocked if the Devin White got re-signed. I mean I'm nothing against the guy, but he hasn't shown the productivity that he's shown in his first 2 years towards the tail end of his last 3 years.
Oh yeah, no, Devin White.
Sorry, the first year he was kind of beat up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He got injured, but there was promise. The second year was like, oh my God, what have we got?
Yeah.
Third year was a bit of drop off, but he was still very, very good. Third year there was patches where he was awful, and there was patches where he was good. And then this year, it's been more, in that realm. So
it's more of the same. Well, I have an old saying that I came up with, Slick. And again, for Buck fans out there, it's on my shirts. You can always check them out at AJ Turnup, at my website on Instagram, and check it out. But there's a shirt that I have, Slick. It says reality checks don't bounce. Devin White's reality checks never bounce. You know why? Because he doomed himself when he said that he should have been a $100 million paid linebacker. You can't say that and not back it up.
I get what you're saying, but you got to remember he was 20-something years of age.
But even with
stupid shit like that, dude.
You're right, but you want to know something? Those owners, they don't believe that shit is stupid. Just think from a business aspect.
Yeah.
If you're going to say that, I better.
And plus, they've got 4 years to look at him, and
that's all I'm saying.
I think the problem for Devin's case is he didn't handle this offseason very well. Mm-hmm. Had he not, maybe people might have a bit more affection,
patience.
I
think patience.
Because let's face it, he played injured last week, right? He was he played, but he played to go, but you know that he's not playing 100%.
Yes.
And yet he whiffs on a tackle. Had he been less noisy in the offseason, maybe he could have got forgiven for a play like that. I mean, we can all say it's unforgivable and what have you, but the argument is he could say I could have planted my foot because X, Y, and Z, and then go off on the field, But here's the thing: when you make drama outside the building, and then you're not producing when you're inside the building, and that's when you have a mishmash going. You're making my decision easier and easier every day.
Absolutely. You're lowering your value because of, again, as you said, of your mouth. But this is why I employ players to be careful about what you say, because owners and everybody else, they are listening. They are hearing what you're going to say. If you make these kind of bold, brash statements and you don't back it up, it will hurt you financially down the line, because this is still a business. Because at this point, you are selling yourself as a high value product. And when you're not producing, see the difference. I do in my personal opinion, Devin his game never progressed like a Levante David. Every time we seen Levante in his early years, when he first came on the Bucs, Levante got better and better and better and better. And
he got to a plateau and just flatlined at the same level.
Exactly, but it was still elite
Yeah,
status.
it was trending up for the first 3 years, and then he got to that fourth year, and it was just the same. Like, I mean, the same consistent. I mean, when I say flatline, I didn't mean he died, but
Oh no,
I mean,
I get what you mean.
the line of progress didn't go up as much, and he's probably dipped down a little bit, but it's still at a consistent level. He's Mr. Consistency. That's always been his shtick.
That's
Whereas
right.
I would say Devin White was a boom player, and sometimes he could be boom or bust, and occasionally this was the problem. He'd come up boom sometimes, and then when he does bust, it can be a killer.
Yep, and this is why folks said he's just a Quan Alexander that lasted longer, and I agree. He lasted.
I think Quan Alexander was better at playing the pass than him. I think that, and I do generally believe this. I think Devin is a better tackler and a better run stopper overall. But when you put the two together, they seem very similar because they both make big plays, but they also whiff on big play. They also allow big plays to happen. We've seen Levante David give the odd big play here and there, but the consistency that's in his number of how he plays is just phenomenal. That's why the one thing I love about Brady coming to this team was the shine that it put on the rest of the players. Because now I'm watching broadcasts where they're like, Levante David this and Levante David that and Levante, and they didn't do it so much, I would say, from pre-2017.
No, absolutely not.
You hardly. He's a good linebacker. They would just refer to him as a very good linebacker, and that was it. Now they're like, this is guy who's like, he is the man. He's one of the top defensive players in the league. It's the top defensive linebackers in the league.
Agreed.
And that's it. So the shine's been put on it.
Yes, and exactly. So despite all of that, I go back to Bowles. You have to design plays to keep it simple. You don't have to worry about an elite offense coming. This is a struggling offense. There's no need to play a lot of cushion. You need to mix it up. But for me, I do a little more man press coverage just because they're going to try to establish the run too. Load the box. If you want to stop the run, Slick, just load that box and make them beat you out of that. They don't have the tools to do so. So don't even let them get in the rhythm. Get them out of the game early to where you want the Panthers offense to go, shit, what do we do next? The way Canales says sometimes. What do we do next? There is no, if you give Bryce Young any moment of we can have them, then that is going to be a long day for this Bucs defense. You still have Vita Vea. You still have Canty, who was just Defensive Player of the Month last month. So shout out to Canty. You still have Shaq Barrett. You have Yaya, who is emerging. You have Antoine Winfield. You have Carlton Davis. So you still have more than enough to overwhelm this offense.
You just got to play it smartly. I would probably get CD3 to follow. Who's their best wide receiver?
To be quite honest,
no, it's DJ Moore, but that was last year.
I don't know who they're.
Whoever's eating on their team, Colton Davis travels with him.
Yep.
Whoever our other safety is, other than Antoine Winfield, because you can do more with Antoine Winfield, and I wouldn't want to pigeonhole in this position. Probably going to be a mix-up between 23. Who's 23?
I know who you talk. Delaney. No,
Delaney's Delaney and the other guy that we all. I try to forget. I try to flash him out of my mind sometimes because of him getting beat.
Oh, McCollum? You mean?
No. McCollum's 27.
Ryan Neal?
Ryan Neal, yeah. So one of them two.
Ryan Neal.
You're going to have to rotate anyway.
I know, but use him for the run. Load him in the box to run. Stop the run.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that because you can always put Antoine Winfield there, and if you're on obvious running situations like on first down and third and short and stuff like that. Yeah. But what I'm going to say here is CD3 on that person, and then he can play nasty press man, press zone, off press zone, whatever you want to do, get him to do it. And the safety picks up over the top every single time.
Yes.
And that allows CD3 to play as aggressively as he wants.
And if he plays
Force them to find other wide receivers. Now, if they can find those other wide receivers, then we go back to basics and we just play what we normally play, whatever the standard game plan is. Because you have to have another thing in your pocket. But I think this will work. The other thing this Buccaneers team needs to do is control the line of scrimmage. And I know that sounds cliche, and it is what it is. I know. This isn't a good offensive line.
No,
it's not. Your guys can eat and they can bully. Don't get the fever for hitting the quarterback every single play. Read, react. It will be on offer. Trust and believe it will be on offer. Guys who just go sniffing for the quarterback sometimes end up sniffing and getting lost. The one thing I always find is the discipline of once you've broken through your gap, now you're reading what's happening. Where's the ball? The ball's in the quarterback hands. Now you can go hunt. Now you can follow your pass rush lane.
Yep.
If that's not there and he's pitched the ball or he's handed the ball off, now you are in contain, you are flowing, you're spreading out, yeah? To nullify that run. Make that guy go east and west. Don't let him go north and south. Control the line of scrimmage in that sense of the word. And I think for me, that's the keys of the game. But something you said resonated with me when you were saying young players and Instagram and all this kind of thing. If I was a coach in a locker room today of professional players, I would say, I know reporters are talking about you. I know kids. I know adults. I know the guy in the bar next door who's on his 15th beer screaming at the TV because you didn't do X, Y, and Z. You have to phase that out for one reason. Go rant to you get yourself in a circle. Get yourself a buddy, girlfriend, dog, cat, goldfish. It don't matter. Family members. Vent to them. When you see this shit that's happening around you, vent to them because they'll appreciate it because they would rather you not do the stupid shit when people get in arguments with a guy who's been down the fucking bar for 6 hours and is hammered drunk and go, you suck, man. I can play corner better than you. Yeah, all right, whatever. Don't rise to it. That's how you be professional. Don't let your this go online. The online stuff is just to boost you as a marketable player. Show your personality when you're posting, but never react to what's being posted about you or what everyone's saying about you. Because the moment you do that, that's when people say you're immature, first and foremost. You would have to be supremely talented to get away with teams going, we still got to pay him though. Like, you got to be Jalen Ramsey-esque when he was in his prime for a team to go, he's immature, but we got to have him. He's that good, yeah?
Yeah.
But if you're not that good, I'm pretty sure every player probably thinks they're that good in all fairness. But this is where I'm saying, I'm just saying, guys, look, social media is for socializing. Don't rise to it. It's easy. I mean, I've seen stuff written about me, or you've probably seen stuff written about you, and it's easy want to go, you know what? You want to go after them, but at the same time,
yeah,
me and you, our jobs aren't at risk. Our reputations aren't at risk if I get into an argument about freaking football play or whatever. It's not going to affect my real life.
Right. I know what you mean.
Now, if I were to get in the room, like we were talking about, I've applied for the academy and what have you, I would have to practice what I preach, because someone could turn around, well, what the hell is Coach Slick doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's going to be I can guarantee you this. If I were to make it, someone's going to say this. He's just there as a token hire because they wanted to have someone from England. He is not experienced. And I've seen it, how they talk about the women coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen the disrespectful stuff. Oh, she just carries cone. Well, guess what? That's what assistant coaches tend to do. The actual positional coach, he ain't carrying the cones. She ain't carrying the cones and the clipboards and stuff. That's what you have an assistant for. It's called assistant. Look the word up. It means to assist somebody.
Exactly.
All right. They set the drills up and they are learning from the person that they're with. So 9 times out of 10, they do all the legwork so the other person doesn't.
Yep.
Exactly. It's that simple. But that's the kind of thing you've got to don't rise to it. Forget that. And if look at Levante David. Levante David is a prime example of, and Mike Evans as well, is a prime example of somebody who does not rise. And as far as I know, Levante David shuts his social media down during the season, and it all turns back up the moment the season's done.
Exactly. They can't. They slick. They can't have these moments right here. You're gonna have fans do things like this.
Holy Jesus! What is that? What the fuck is that? What is that, Private?
It's gonna happen, guys.
That's
gonna happen, and sometimes it's rightfully so. Own your shit, because again, Slick, you're a coach in filming. That happens. Sometimes
I'm sure he was read to filth by his
coach. I know for me, I'll do it. Be like, yeah, what was that? Oh yeah, you saw that? Yeah, Jake, you saw what happened? Oh yeah, remember when I keep telling you not to plant your feet and go full steam? This is why. Now look at you. Now
it's teaching tape. It's teaching tape.
Oh yeah. I like the
teaching and preaching tape.
Exactly, teaching tape. And look, it's always okay to have. I used to do this. I get some pie on the side, and I'll be like, here you go. I serve them like, look, eat that shit up. It's some humble pie. Humble pie is always delicious if you hold yourself accountable. Mm-hmm. If you don't, it's going to taste shitty. But like you said, these guys have got to just understand this. What you put out there, your product will speak far more than your words. That's why Levante and Evans are where they are. That's why they are legends. Their statistics are Hall of Fame caliber. Mark my words, Levante will get in. Will be a first ballot? Probably not, but he will get in. And as you said, because Brady's just the simple fact that his presence was there, now the big dogs have to go. Well, wait a minute. When Brady won this Super Bowl, Levante was doing this. Levante was doing that. Oh, wow. Look at his stats before. Oh, we were too busy slurping up Luke Kuechly because we were too busy focusing on Cam Newton. Oh, shit. He was doing the same thing on a weaker team. Mike Evans, enough said. Look, we're going to get to Evans, but he will get that 1,000 yards. But back to Bowles, again, we're not here to harp. I am, but I'm harping on Bowles due to the fact that you are the defensive mind. You're the defensive guy. You are the man that embarrassed Mahomes at worst at the most important part of the stage. But you
embarrassed that boy.
You embarrassed him. But you got one thing that I will say, and because even Rick will say this as well, but this isn't in his favor though. Are you that coach that can do it when you have the superstars, or are you a coach that makes players and brings out the best of them? Look at Mike Tomlin right now. A lot of people, he is the team that he had in the early 2000s and 2010 is a shell of what he has now. But you know what Tomlin does? He makes it work somehow, some way.
They play gritty, and it's probably one of the most physical divisions in football for sure.
Exactly.
He is probably one of my favorite underrated. If he doesn't go in the Hall of Fame, it would be criminal.
Oh, yeah. He's going.
People turn around and go, oh yeah, well, because he's had like so many seasons where he hasn't had a losing record. People don't understand how hard that is.
Oh, I agree 100%. Belichick has a losing record. Belichick has had a losing season. Tomlin has not.
Tomlin two balls as a head coach and one as an assistant, right?
Yeah, he's been to two. He's won one. He's lost one. And as an assistant,
got one with the Bucs.
Yeah, he's won one with the
linebacker coach with the Buccaneers, right?
Yes, because Lynch and him were really close, I think. But yes, again, I'll give you another coach. Remember Kyle Shanahan?
Mm-hmm.
Back in the Bronco days, everybody loves him. But what happened when Elway, Terrell Davis, Shannon Sharp, and Rod Wood were gone? What happened? And Atwater and them were gone. See, this is what This is what we don't want, because I know a lot of people are saying this about him, like, oh, well, AJ, you're not being fair. Bullshit. This is the NFL. Life isn't fair. Injuries happen all the time. Because if that's the case, then do we look at how we scoff at Chiefs fans? They say, well, hey, well, guys, the Chiefs didn't have their two starting tackles in. That's football. Injuries happen. It happens all the time. I don't want to hear that excuse. So this is why, Rick, shout out to you. Love you. Check him out on Bucs Live on Tuesdays at 9. But this is why I wasn't going for the money situation. I wasn't going for that. We said this already, Slick. I said this. You heard me say this in the beginning before the season started. If this Bucs defense is in the top 5 and they still are relatively healthy, then you have failed. Now, you said top 10 because I get it. That's more realistic, but they're not even a top 10. This is a mid-tier to almost end type of defense now.
So you're looking at a 16 plus.
Yes, to what more than 16 plus. The reason why I say that, you still, despite that even with the starters, the Bucs look lost. Your defense should be at least number 10, top 10. I ain't saying they got to be. I said top 5 because I expected he would have adjusted the scheme, but at least number 10. If you fell to maybe 11 or 12, and because of the injuries of piling on, I will live with that. But that's not the case. When your players were healthy, Bowles, you were failing then because you failed to make the proper adjustments. And that is what is going to bite you essentially if something like the Glazers are going to ask questions. Just like they did with Byron. They're going to say, well, why didn't you do this? If you knew this was happening, Bowles, why did you continue this? Well, according to my plans, according to your plans, Bowles, they were wrong. Why is it that AJ Turn Up on Twitter knows your scheme before you even put it out there? Why is it that all these guys at a bar who is on his 6th Jägermeister shot knows what your coverage is going to be? You can't have that. Now, people can say all they want, but again, as a business person, if I'm investing money into you and a guy and an old lady in True Blood, Louisiana, knows what you're gonna do, that is unacceptable. That is and you still don't adjust. So defensively, Bowles, he is failing right now. Not to say that he can't turn it around.
I hope he does.
I do too. I don't want him, Buck fans. Now, I'll say this, depending on who our quarterback is, I don't know. I don't want a defensive man messing with the quarterback, but Bowles, the only way Bowles could turn this around is if this defense, they would literally, for me, for the rest of the season, they'd have to keep all the teams on the and this could be possible. They would have to keep every team from the remaining schedule of the season under 20 points. And we're not playing it. And it's not impossible.
I don't know about tomorrow. I don't know tomorrow.
But I say that. I say that because we're not facing any offensive juggernauts. We're not facing anybody who is truly an offensive guy, like an offensive team, where it's like, oh wow, this team. Maybe the Jags.
No, you got the Jags who are quite well put together, but they're put together across the board rather than just one.
That's what I mean. That's why
they play sound defense as well as play good offense.
Right.
So it's not, you're not going against anyone statistically great. I get what you mean. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I say this. And at that point, then you're gonna have to start dominating. We still said
I want to see the sack totals. I want to see the takeaways. I could live with a couple of if it's a blown coverage, because they happen, right?
Yep.
And that gets you over the 20 mark. But you win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up with takeaways, you end up with big stops, you end up with big plays that help you win the game. Then you can say, well, that defense contributed to winning the game.
Yep. And here's the thing. Another thing.
What are you sipping on, brother?
Libation. I just call it libation. It's a little cocktail that I made. I like to make my own drinks.
You have to give me the recipe.
Sometimes the alcohol, this will burn the alcohol real quick. So, I got to make something that's going to stimulate me. But I say this on all defense, the Bucs should be pressuring Bryce Young the way that teams pressure Baker. Bryce Young is 5'10". He ain't even 6 foot on paper. In reality, Bryce Young is 5'8", but they're just going to give him 5'10". I want to see hands in the air, jumping up and down especially when he's in the pocket. That's where if he stays in the pocket, blitz.
I would expect most of their yards to come from him scrambling.
Agreed.
You won't win games on a regular basis. You can't win games on a regular basis just scrambling, because eventually someone's going to knock you with the fuck out, and then it's going to hurt.
Exactly. Well, then
like you said, he's 5'10".
Yeah, he ain't 5'10". He's 5'8".
He's going to get eaten. If I were them, if I was their offense, I'm focusing on the run, and then potentially design plays for him to run as well.
Agree. Or dink and dunk it. You dink and dunk it, especially if Bowles does what we do. We know he's going to do is play that cushion coverage. For Bryce, that is, you just milk the clock. In a way, when the way that Bowles plays, because his defense isn't being overwhelming, it plays right into the opponent's hands. Hey, we're only down 6 points. We have a shot at winning this game, especially when we get to the offensive side, when they don't do their part and the defense is tired. So this is why, again, when he is in that pocket, just like they do Baker, you make him, try to throw a deep ball, it will be a pick, because he's gonna toss it in the air, and then that's when Antoine Winfield. So to be quite honest, I expect nothing less than 2 picks this game. I expect at least 5 sacks. And this is why I say that Bryce does have a tendency of holding on to the ball too long, or he does try to escape. Now, you want to know, believe it or not, who could do some damage as a pass rusher this time? JTS. This is his time to shine, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why I say that. While Yaya is beating up the line, JTS can utilize his speed to get to a Bryce Young. So if Bryce Young wants to step out of the pocket, that's where JTS can finally use his speed and take advantage. This is why I say this, guys. The Bucs still have enough in the arsenal on defense to handle this Panthers team. Now, I love that Christopher Cole, thank you for that. They said Adam Thielen is there, but Adam Thielen is not the Adam Thielen from Minnesota. And again, with their offenses being as bad as they are, Slick has said their line isn't that great. Their line isn't that good. And for everybody else out there who is watching on the Aftermath at 102.9 Game Broad Street South Radio, you know that their line isn't that good.
Oh, yeah.
Take advantage. Be aggressive. So the key word that I want is aggressive on this defense. Take away the run game early. If you take away the run game by, say, at least the end of the first quarter, you got this team. You have this team because they don't have enough. Bryce Young can get rattled, but what you don't do is let a quarterback get in a rhythm. When they get in a rhythm now, and if they can run the ball because you're scared, now they can design plays to mess with you. Am I right, Slick? Now
the best thing you can do is when a quarterback's getting a rhythm is sock him in the mouth. That shuts him up, because the incompletions, the small yardage gains, nullifying that's still, you're still in the fight. You're still in the fight. The moment everyone has an answer until they get sucked in the mouth.
Exactly. Everybody got to play.
And then they're asking questions. Do I need to be here? Can I take another one of these?
And the guy,
is he really going to hold him? And then that's when you can go to town with your pressure packages by playing with the line, by manipulating pressure. Maybe you show Yaya, and then he just drops in a coverage, and everyone's like, he's dropping a coverage. And then this time he drops in, and bam, he just puts the foot in the ground and comes straight back. Delayed blitz. Just little things like that. That's the kind of intricacies that we know a Coach Bowles defense is very capable of. And that's what I expect to see. I would want to see this Sunday is manipulating the pressure. This is a young quarterback. Show him everything, but show him nothing. It's all window dressing until it's in his face, and they're putting a pad on his chin strap.
Exactly. That I agree with you. You want to make him uncomfortable. You want to, not just physically, but like you said, when you hit him psychologically.
The thing, we don't have a Devin White, because if he gets hit by a Devin White blitz, Devin White's blitz, when he hits somebody, this is why he was liked so much. When he was a little bit more consistent, when he blew up a player, it's almost like they flew off to the other side of the
Yes.
field. He really hits, like, even Shaq Barrett, when he hits somebody, they just go down. When Devin White hits someone, he decleats them. Their feet are off the ground and they are driven into the dirt. He just has the one thing I would say about him that I do like about him, his finesse of just taking people off their feet and escorting them and making them become good friends with the dirt.
Yes. You know who I think can be that guy who is an enforcer, and he doesn't talk yet, but the hunger's there. Yaya.
Yeah.
Yaya, when he hits you, and you know.
I think that's a very good call. And I think that's what they got to do. I think they've got to manipulate the pressures, just show them all sorts of stuff. Have guys going up and down. Have the linebackers not just shuffling the coverage pre-snap. They're like, all right, he's not going in, and then he does, and then he does, and then he doesn't, and then it just rotate it around. Then you have the someone like Christian Izin. He'll come in, he'll tap him on the ass. This is my favorite play of all time. It's something I've always used, and everywhere I've gone as defensive coordinator, you tap him on the ass, and that's the cheek. You tap that cheek, I'm going left. You're going the other way. I'm going this cheek. And then you can do this, and then you can do that, and then you can do this, and they're on an island. They're like, I don't know what the fuck this guy's doing anymore, and that's how you manipulate the pressures. And then you do things even crazier. You bring down the safety, and then the safety goes back up again. But while you brought that safety down, somebody else has moved closer to the line of scrimmage that you didn't see because I've given you this beautiful bit of window dressing that your eyes are going, I've got you. You think you're gonna blitz with this guy? Oh, he's gone back. Then you've got to rescan the field, especially if you can do that when the time is critical. Within that 10-second mark, someone's got to be watching the clock and they have a call out word. I don't know. It's loud, so it's kind of difficult to have that. But if it weren't loud, I'd turn around and say, just say a bird. You just mention a bird, blackbird, turkey, don't matter. You mention a bird, that tells somebody they just got to show something. Doesn't matter what it is. He's shouting words that don't mean anything. He comes down. In the meanwhile, someone else is slyly come down and no one's seen it. And he goes back to where he is. He hasn't got time to relook at the field or where it is. Boom. He's depleted. He's on his ass and he's popped the ball out. And we're talking about sack fumble recovery. Sorry, I'll get excited now.
Nothing wrong with that. Excitement is good. So this is why, Buck fans, again, can please continue to show your support to Coach Slick. Get him in there. This is what the Buccaneers want. This is what they should want. Passion, because passion brings out the passion in your players. So again, guys, please get Coach Slick out there. And this is for everybody. Find his channel, tag him to the Glazers. Again, appreciate you. Now that we have done our defensive evaluation. Now we're going to go to the offensive side. For Canales, this is your time for Canales to shine. This is your time. And even if Godwin is out, this is where you need to do what Matt LaFleur and other coaches do with number one receivers. Feed them somehow, some way. This is the game that Evans should get that 1,000 yards. I say that because you move him around.
Hey, they did
him like you did last
time. 3 touchdowns and got the 1,000-yarder against them.
Yeah, we need to do that because shout out to Ben. He said this, and I said I disagree, though. He's like, they're going to triple cover him. Not necessarily. He's going to get double the usual.
You can't triple cover someone because, I wish we had the ability to put up a picture and then draw on it as we go. You can't triple cover someone in a spread offense or in trips. If I realize you're triple covering one of my guys, I'm going empty every single fucking play because you cannot triple cover in empty or in trips. Single back.
That's a death.
You got four. I mean, you can triple coverage based on the route combination if the route combination lines up and how you want it. But if you want 3 physical people to play man coverage on one guy, or 2 guys to play man coverage on one guy, and then 1 guy to play over the top, which is, I assume, it's not going to work because you're going to have Mike Evans. Mike Evans is your wideout, right? So you're going to have the corner. You're probably going to have the slot corner or the nickel. He's going to have to triple cover him. And then you're going to have the safety over the top. So now we know they're in a 2 high shout. guaranteed they're in a too high shout because you can't not have a too high shout, which means we can now run the football, which makes that a little bit easier. Secondly, my slot guy can run an inside route because as long as I make Evans, whatever he's doing is either to the outside or vertical, that inside route, whether it just be a little hitch, is always going to be open. You're going to give me a 5, and you're going to give me a 5, and you're going to give me a 5, you're going to give me a 5. You can't defend it. That linebacker who is stuck in the stuck in the box can't come out until he sees it. And if it's quick and it's flipped, or if you go on a true spread and they are spread out, and I'm talking like just outside the numbers, guy between the numbers and the line of scrimmage, that's too much distance for any linebacker to cover. So
now you're not being fair.
Triple coverage sounds like a great idea, and it can be done, but I think it works more in a zone scheme rather than a man scheme, right? Because in a zone scheme, you can have your rule base could be your nickel can play the flats, your corner plays deep, and then your safety plays would play like a cover 4. So you'd have like a hybrid of a 2 deep coverages on one side of the field and then 1 coverage on the other side. So cover 6, sorry, if you will, palms.
I'll tell you, Slick, you play a cover 3, I'm going to destroy you in the middle. The reason why I say that, Palmer, with that 4-3 beautiful speed, your linebackers are going to be devastated. Again, if I put Evans go to the outside and that corner and that safety bites and goes that way, it's a fucking field day. I'm just going to be like,
what I'm saying, because you the moment you have a gentleman who's going to play the flats, he's going to be or man coverage. If he's playing man coverage and they're doing that triple coverage, the middle and the in breaking routes are wide open because it's so much work for a linebacker who's small, who's much bigger and nowhere near as fast as a slot receiver. It's a matchup nightmare in that sense. The best thing you can do is play the flats, and then he only plays the flats if someone breaks out so that he stays disciplined. But then he's not truly triple coverage. He's not in true triple coverage because if he's in triple coverage, he needs to flow with the number 1 wide receiver, which would be Mike Evans. So you can't really triple coverage anybody, especially when it's a spread offense kills triple coverage because everyone's spaced out so much. You're forcing them to defend so much grass, which means someone's going to get open.
Yeah.
And if you flex out your linebackers to the point they're over tackle, so they've got less distance, or you end up flexing out another linebacker to go and kind of, I'd say, what's the best way to play apex between the line of scrimmage and the number 2 wide receiver, then you've only got 1 true guy in the box at linebacker. I'm running the football down the middle every single time because you've only got 1 guy who can fit the flow. Yeah. Or even better still, counters and things like that will screw them because you get the linebacker to pull one way. There's so much you can do with it, and I don't think you can truly triple cover somebody and get away with it. If you're force feeding the ball to this guy, which let's face it, the Buccaneers don't do that. Would you honestly say your assessment of our offense is that we force feed Mike Evans?
No, absolutely not. So if
you had somebody that they were force feeding the ball to, I can understand your logic for a triple coverage because they're not throwing at anybody else. So you may as well take advantage of the fact that they're not throwing. We're going to triple coverage until you can start throwing to the other guys, and then we'll respect that by dropping a guy, and then we'll just double coverage, right? Because that makes sense. But if you triple coverage a guy that we don't go to every single time, yeah, he probably has the lion's share of the ball, but so does Chris Godwin. Gets a ball a fair bit too. He doesn't get a lot. This is where someone like a Chris Godwin would eat, because I would put Chris Godwin or Trey Palmer next to Mike Evans in the slot. Trips will destroy. Trips to Mike Evans' side, you got Mike Evans, Trey Palmer, Chris Godwin. And you're triple coveraging someone when you got 3 wideouts on one side I could run 3 verticals, you're screwed.
Yeah, exactly. This is why it doesn't work, guys. So enough with that. They're gonna have to play
I
sound
think
mind.
sometimes when they say there's triple coverage, I think sometimes players have a rule in place where if something's not on, they automatically go to triple coverage. So they, for example, like I said about the flats, you got a guy, his guy is the slot. If the slot breaks in, then he goes in triple coverage. He goes into triple coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And if the slot breaks out, he's playing the flats because he has to.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true triple coverage. That's playing to the scheme. So what I would do in that case, I would just run him inside or down the middle and force, you're now creating a double team. But then that double team's got to be consistent on both sides because you still got two wide receivers. In any coverage situation, you have 2 safeties, 2 corners, and then potentially you can have a nickel and a dime. But then you're going to be really, really light, which is why I know you personally like the spread offense. Because if you put nickels and dimes in there, what does that mean if you run a forefront? That means there's only one guy, a true middle.
And if your guy, and we have to take into account, every linebacker is not great in coverage.
Not every linebacker is equal.
Yeah, and that's the thing, guys. This is why when I see teams that just try to run the ball on a team that is piss poor in pass coverage, you're making a mistake. Why not thin them out even more? That's another thing I want to talk about. The Bucs, I know that they'll say because the Panthers aren't so good at the run, this is not a time to establish that kind of balanced offense. Use the pass, Canales, dink and dunk. You can dink, dunk, and then you can set the run up. Again, use the pass first to set up that run. I want to see Evans at least with 7 attempts in the first quarter by itself. Short passes, intermediate, and then 1 deep shot. But this is another thing that I also want to get to because this will work here because I've had a lot of people giving me controversy about it. If Baker is not 100% or if he looks like he's messing this offense up, you pull him and put Trask in. Or if the Bucs are carrying this game where by halftime it's, let's say, surprisingly in a miracle, the Bucs are up 27 and the Panthers have 3. You'd sit Baker down anyway, and then you see what you have in Trask. The Bucs do need to look at the future. I don't know. Baker would have to pull off a miracle for me to make him the franchise. NFC Championship.
At the end of the day, he's signed for this team for 1 year. This is kind of almost like prove it deal. Yes. I don't think he's been bad. I think the issue I find with Baker Mayfield is when the situation is critical, he is unable to deliver, and that is his only flaw. Right. And not even that bad of a flaw. The problem is in the NFL, there's going to be a critical time.
Exactly.
It could be deep in the fourth quarter where you're down by 6, down by 3, down by whatever, down by 2. You still need to drive that ball to a position where you'll kick the field goal and win the game. And the Buccaneers have been in these positions multiple times, and the ball's been put in his hands, and he hasn't delivered. Now people will turn around, well, we were a referee call away. We should never have been in that situation that it needed to be a last throw, last ditch attempt.
Agreed.
Every single time.
And this is why you want to see what you have in Trask. Guys, don't you want to see, because again, this is an unfair bias, Slick. A lot of people just don't sometimes have common sense. Well, he couldn't do it under the Brady era. He was never going to fucking start over Brady. That's just stupid anyway. That's just dumb. This is why
the logic behind, right? We're not in. Well, I always say this to anyone that's a Buccaneers fan who had these opinions. Yes. We are not in those rooms. None of us are in the quarterback's room and what have you. Or he couldn't beat Blaine Gabbert. It's a fair point. But here, let me add this little twist. Why did they choose Blaine Gabbert over him? You are choosing a pure rookie or a first-year player who's never played, which is still technically a first-year rookie, let's be brutally honest.
Yes.
Over a guy who's got proven experience, who was bought in by Bruce Arians. Why did Bruce Arians bring him in? Because he has experience being a backup quarterback for Bruce Arians and coach left which. That's why you go with what you know, with a guy that's done it before. Guys, we can all mock Blaine Gabbert as much as we like because, he's not played very much. He was on a bad franchise or whatever. He still won games. He's not winless in football.
Exactly.
So it's like if the game's on the line with the talent that we have, even if he's not great, he might be able to win us a game. We might be able to limp a couple of games to keep going while our quarterback gets back on the mend and we go back into the playoffs. No one's backup quarterback is amazing. It rarely happens.
This isn't a Steve Young, Joe Montana situation, guys. We got to stop that. That shit literally only happened once. That's why those are called anomalies.
Coaches have favorites. Coaches usually tend to pick the guys that they know and trust. Now, unfortunately, in the quarterback position, it's how much you've played for them and how much reps. It don't matter what you can be slinging it in practice.
Yep.
But if the difference between Trask and Gabbert is, let's say Gabbert completes 52% of his passes in practice, and our boy Trask completes 55. One of them's played football at the NFL level, the other one isn't. You could put a deer in headlamps and lose the game, or you could put it in a guy that you have a little bit more trust in. Now, we as football fans are fine taking risks because it doesn't cost us a fucking job at the end of the day. So the edge, and this is probably why they keep sticking with Baker. Like when you mentioned last week, and I agree that there was an opportunity to have a little look at a bit more of Trask, and they didn't. And we both felt that Baker Mayfield grew into the game as the game went on, but when he first went back in, the first couple of drives, he was a little bit off the game.
Not a little bit. He was shit his first drive. When he came back in, Baker was shit, and I got concerned.
And the play calling showed it because they were like, we don't want to put our quarterback in a position where he has to throw the football.
And that is on pure coaching. When you have to hesitate, you're not doing your fucking job.
Don't hesitate when you're trying to take a punch, trying to give a punch. If you're going to sit there thinking about it, you're going to get punched in the mouth. Don't think about it. Swing and hope you hit.
You're going to get KO, and that's what happened. And it takes the air out of the momentum.
There's a logic behind it by like allowing a quarterback to build up their confidence and stuff. But sometimes you can't because you're going to get in the way of the team. So there's opportunities for this team where they've made coaching mistakes, but there's opportunities wherever there's a mistake, there's an opportunity to learn. That's my fundamental belief in football. You made a mistake. Can you learn from it? Can you make sure it doesn't happen again, or can you limit it happening again? If you can do that, you're on the best track.
Agreed.
No guy in football is impervious to making bonehead calls or plays or decisions. We see it all the time. There are guys who have won Super Bowl. Pete Carroll's won a Super Bowl and could have won another. And all he had to do was call a run play. Now, that wasn't guaranteed, but it may have well been. Because the way he was running and the way he plays in that position at that moment, in those moments in his career, it was pretty much a gimme. Yeah. And he made that blunder. And guess what? He is still in NFL employment because he's a good coach.
Exactly. But he did not, and he fucked it up. And this is why you also want to give a guy like Trask the opportunity. Not only that, this will be the time that he's on the field with the starting team, and you can see what he can do.
It's going to make your mind up if you're going to go for I know it's 5 games, right? So it's going to help you make your draft decision a bit better.
A lot better. If Trask,
you don't have to go and get a quarterback, and you have a high-end pick, you can trade down and maybe go the mid-range to go to like 16. Let's say the Buccaneers get a top 10 pick. They can drop to 15, maybe gain a second rounder. This team is devoid of young. There's some older gentlemen here. How many holes do we have on this offense? A lot of people turn around and say we need a new center. We need another guard, at least. I think what we have at tackle is serviceable, and I think we'll stick with it. Argument can be made for running back. Argument can be made for another wide receiver. an argument can be a definite argument can be made for a safety. An argument can be made for arguments can be made for potentially 2 linebackers if Levante David walks, because Zavassia Dennis hasn't actually shown that he is capable of being an NFL starter yet. That's a fact. He hasn't shown it yet. We believe in him, and I believe in him 100%. But I don't know, because I don't have the intangibles, and I can turn around and go, that's an NFL starter.
Agreed.
That is what an NFL starter looks like. I don't know. So then we can talk about the defensive line. You're going to need another defensive tackle. Potentially, if you let Shaq walk or you cut him, or because of money situations, you're going to need another. I've just mentioned 9 players. Guess how many picks we have? 7. And guess what? 7 of those guys will not start. Maybe 3. Maybe 3.
Maybe.
But we have to be, and of course we'll pick up some in free agency and what have you, and that's where we got to get our checkbook out, and that's where we have to be smart with the checkbook and knowing the player that we're after. Because if you go happy on a guy who's, one thing I always worry about when I see organizations go hard on a player that's had an amazing year, but before that it was either mediocre or he just hadn't delivered, and they go, right, let's make it rain on this guy, and it doesn't translate because A, you put him into a new scheme which might not fit, and secondly, he's only had 1 year showing you he's consistently good. That's why I shit the bed the moment I saw them throwing money at Daniel Jones. I was like, for what? For what?
That was just plain stupid.
They could have paid the running back.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And running backs are cheap as chips compared to a quarterback. You're paying that quarterback $35 million a year, and you can't get rid of him for 2 years minimum.
Yep.
And how much are you going to pay someone? How much are you going to pay someone like Saquon Barkley? $15 million maximum. You can probably get away with 13.5. So if he doesn't pan out, you lose 13.5, then you can get rid of him. You lost 27 million. You do that with Daniel Jones, you've lost 70.
And you know what? Us and the entire NFC East, other teams are doing this. That's exactly what's going on. Exactly. And again, you might have a gem in trash. Here's the tangibles that I tell people. 1, you don't have to worry about him necessarily always getting the ball batted down. And can you imagine a guy of his stature and height and his velocity? He's pretty good. He's got a nice little deep ball on him and Mike Evans. You want to incentivize Evan staying. If Evan goes, I keep telling you guys in this draft, if Evan leaves and you get a quarterback, what good is that going to do for that rookie? What good is that going to do? That means Godwin might
your second draft picks, your second round, you either find someone and you're gonna have to pay you're gonna have to pay big money, which is gonna be difficult.
Exactly.
I don't even know. I don't even want to look at the free agent market.
I don't either, but that's why
it's so difficult. You're absolutely right. AJ, you're absolutely right. You have to set a foundation. I was like, people are talking about how we should start tanking. I'm like, if we tank, I would be shocked if someone like Levante David comes back. I would be shocked if Tristan Wirth wants to stick around, because he knows he could have the rubber to the green of any team in the NFL if he really wanted to, unless they've got 2 super studs at tackle. Why would you? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly.
Mike Evans,
Winfield.
You could be they can walk. You have nothing on them. Oh, we can franchise tag. You can franchise tag. You only can franchise tag one of them.
One of them. And again, if you do that, now you're sending a message to the rest of the guys, and they'll say, "Well, fuck it, I'm out too." Godwin, Godwin, what has maybe another 2 years on his contract, and then he's gone. And then you don't know the stress that can put on Godwin. If Evans is gone, now that double threat is gone. So now, okay, we'll just double. We don't know what Godwin will be like without the likes of Evans for a whole season. You don't have a run game. Your line is built for the pass, which also will help a guy like Trask. Guys, don't worry about the future, and don't worry about what the fuck NCAA and the ESPN is telling you. They're going to tell you all this shit. Remember, just 3 months ago, everybody was singing the glory of, it was praise and worship for Caleb Williams, and then he can't even beat the real teams in college. What do you think is going to happen when he plays teams in the
And he's crying,
NFL.
he's getting hugs from his mama, and he's talking about mental health and all this thing. And this was the same guy that mocked what was it? The TCU callback for getting upset in the national championship game.
Exactly.
Max Duggan. He was
Yes.
you were ha ha or some shit. I was like,
Again,
well, mental health is only applicable when it's you in the spotlight. That's what
right.
that tells me. It tells me you don't have the stones. God forbid he goes to a franchise where they are devoid of talent and they are high pressured
Oh,
situations.
you mean like the Bears? Because that's where they're saying Caleb would go. He goes to the
It's
Bears. He's
potentially
going
possible,
to.
but I don't even know if he can. He can go to the Bears because the Bears. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm having to remember where everything. Yeah, the Bears. Yeah, I got you.
Oh, he's
Sorry,
going to the
it
Bears.
took me a minute because I'm getting Carolina confused because they're the
No,
ones who traded everything to try and get the fucking kid.
Carolina fucked themselves up real bad. But
You know
this
what I
is
saw
the
that
thing.
made me laugh? AJ, please weigh on this. The Buccaneers can fix their quarterback problems by trading their first round draft pick
For Justin Fields.
for Justin Fields.
We'll get to that in a second. I'm gonna hold my load on that.
We'll
I
put that to the back burner for now.
We'll put that in the back because this is why I don't want. I'll get to that. We'll get to that. But with Trask, I want. Do you guys realize this is an impact on Light's legacy too? Because if you let Trask walk and Trask goes somewhere else and shines, that is a stain on you. And even if Trask doesn't go anywhere else and he's out of the league, that shows, well, like, you just wasted a fucking second round pick. That wasn't good. You mean and look at the message you're sending to other quarterbacks in the draft. Why would I go to the Buccaneers? Why they're going to talk to their agent? Why would I go there and they don't even believe in their guys? This is why people have got to. And then another thing, we see how Bowles and this coaching staff has been. Do you really think their assessments are as good as you think? Slick just gave you one-on-one. We're going to go with what we're comfortable with. What if they were wrong with that?
And anyone can be wrong because that's
anyone can be wrong. It happens. But I'm looking at.
I do think we need to have a look at.
Yes.
If the Buccaneers lose this game, they need to have a look at Trask for multiple reasons. One, if he's bad, you can kind of tank without tanking. So once the organization knows you're tanking, because you have to have clear and obvious signs that you're tanking. If you put in Trask and he can't deliver, so he loses game after game after game, and then you go, okay, we're going back to
Baker.
We're going back to Baker because this isn't going to work. You've already shown you've got to look at Trask and know that's not your answer. You've lost 3 games, so your draft pick is already sky high.
Facts.
So there's no reason. So it's like trying to tank without physically tanking.
Yeah, you're putting in the effort to the fight, but you're just in over your head.
Whereas if you turn around and you start pulling players in multiple positions in critical times, like they did during the Lovie Smith era, they did in that game. I think it was against the Saints, and we would have doubled.
Yeah, the last game of the season, and we were winning, and then all of a sudden the Saints came back.
Pulled out of the starters, didn't they?
Everybody knew. Oh, the Bucs were tanking for Jameis. We knew that. I saw that shit, and I'm like, oh,
there were talks about us potentially that they should find the Buccaneers for that because we pulled obvious starters.
Oh, I agree. They talked about us like a dog, and I couldn't even defend it. I said we did do that. People were saying, Bucs, that was disgusting. You literally just tanked to get your players. But here's another flip side, and this is hopeful. The Bucs line is set up to stop to be a pass blocking. Trask doesn't have to run. He doesn't have to because now he can see over the line. He can throw to Evans. We already know Evans can make anybody look good. And here's the thing. He can see. He knows how to get rid of it quick. What if now? I know I'm getting ahead of myself, Slick, but damn it, whatever. What if all of a sudden this guy comes in? He plays so well that the Bucs, their last 6 games, they only lose 1 game. And he only throws 2 picks, but he has thrown 7 touchdowns between each of those games.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, and this is one thing. I know this is the long shot and what have you. Did anyone think Tom Brady was going to be the man when he replaced Bledsoe?
No.
No,
No.
of course they didn't. This is why I used to get really frustrated with Brady fans. They call themselves Brady fans. What they mean is they're New England Patriot fans that just love Brady. And that's fine. I have no problem with it. I've followed him since college. He's one of the ones that people said, and I used to say to you know what I say to those people? Oh, so you followed a quarterback that dropped in and out of the starting lineup, because that's what he did. That's why
That's
he
exactly
dropped
what
so
he
low.
did.
He was not a consistent starter in the University of Michigan. So don't tell me that you followed him, because quarterbacks that go in and out of the lineup, people like them, but they're probably diehard Michigan fans who know the team inside and out. To the average eye, like mine and yours, if we see a guy floating in and out of the lineup, we're probably not going to be tooting that guy's horn.
Absolutely not.
There's
And
no
it was,
reason to, right?
yeah, and it wasn't like he was shredding fucking records at Michigan. They're acting like that he was a Heisman finalist or something. He wasn't.
It's because hindsight is proven that he is the talent, right? He
Exactly.
was able to pick it up, but he was. I believe, like when they talk about the whole, was it Belichick or was it Brady? I think Belichick nurtured, and the coaching staff that he got nurtured something in Brady to make him augment already something that was already there. We know that a Patriots defense is usually pretty darn solid.
Absolutely.
It's usually pretty darn solid. So you know they're going to almost do like a Coach Bowles. They're going to keep it close. You don't need to have a miracle worker at quarterback. But then not only that, they decide, you know what? We've got this quarterback that can make plays. Why don't we just cripple him completely and just give him hardly any? Who was his wide receivers for most of his career? He had Randy. Randy Moss. How many years did he have Randy Moss for?
And he didn't even win with them. He
exactly.
never won with them.
How long did he have Chad Johnson for? And that was considered not a very good pairing. It's names like Wes Welker. It's names like Julian Edelman.
Deion Branch.
Given. Gronkowski's the only bona fide superstar that was on that team for a regular basis that you can turn around and went, oh my God, that is future Hall of Famer. Without first ballot, without even saying it. Other than that.
Well, I got one more, Slick. And this, I know it's not a popular thing. I don't give a shit what y'all say. We're talking about skills, not people personally. Hernandez. Those two. Because Hernandez got to a Super Bowl.
He wasn't in the league long enough. That was the problem.
I know, but here's why I say that.
Oh, Hernandez, he has the talent. I mean,
his talent alone. Can you imagine if he had? We already know if he had his head straight and he didn't. Hernandez and Gronk.
Oh,
that shit wouldn't have been fair. Brady would have never gone to Tampa if Hernandez and Gronk were still together. First of all, he would have added at least 3 years to Gronk because Gronk wouldn't get getting beat up.
No, because he'll pick your poison. Which tight end you're gonna think? And you know what? A double tight end pass for it gives you. It forces you. You can't go nickel. You can't. You can, but it's going to have to be the thicker nickel. It's going to have to be a safety. And even safeties are nowhere near sized versus a tight end. It's a true middle linebacker that's usually got the same kind of frame and thickness.
Yep.
And guess what? If a linebacker could run like a tight end and catch like a tight end and play ball like a tight end, guess what position they're playing?
Tight end. And the thing is, Hernandez was faster than Gronk by far.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. But that's another hot guys. This is our whole point about this. You want to know what you have. The Bucs have done this in the past where we didn't give them a true shot or we were just a shitty team, and they go on and to other teams and become career guys. You ever heard of Steve Young, Buck fans? We didn't do Steve Young right. Motherfucker went to San Fran, and he's a Hall of Fame quarterback with a Super Bowl. And we're sitting here looking like this. Well, I didn't know. Doug Williams, he leaves. And you knew he was good because he got you an NFC title. You gave up on him. He goes to Washington and wins the Super Bowl. Now we're like,
that was a whole like kind of race thing, wasn't it? They just didn't want to. They just didn't want to put it back.
It definitely was. It definitely was. But I mean, even with that being said, though, it's a shitty organization in the business thing. You don't want to.
You've got the quarterback. Here's your keys to the kingdom.
He's your keys to the kingdom. If I tell you this, he goes through that stretch and he gives me 8 touchdowns and 2 picks. How in God's name? And let's say he gets to the playoffs. Let's just say this. he does that, how in God's name do you throw that away, Buck fans? You cannot do that. And you could get him back next year for cheap because he's still on his rookie contract. And
Yep,
then
he's got one more year. He's got one more year.
One more year.
And we could tag him after that.
You tag him after that. And that's the thing. As Slick
So then
said,
you get
more picks in the draft. That means more holes to fill, and it inspires. And let's say out of 8 of those touchdowns, 4 of them are to Mike Evans. Mike Evans is going to go, oh, shit, this guy likes to throw to me, and he can
I want him to get Mike Evans' yards up, but I want him to throw the touchdowns to Chris Godwin to keep him, because that guy deserves his due. I mean, he's criminally underused. I don't know how it
I know how Canals doesn't know what he's doing, and I love the fact that he is giving Evans his flowers. That's a beautiful thing, Canals. But you have got to still run the offense through Evans and Godwin. Godwin is your bread and butter in the intermediate. He's your yak man.
Third down guy.
Yes, that's your
Guaranteed.
third down guy.
Third down, he'll get it. He'll fight for it.
Exactly. So this is why it's imperative. And I know, guys, we have gone on a tangent. You're like, well, shit, y'all going to talk about the Panthers? That's the point. This team, if Baker's still out there, you put this team away early so we can see this. This game, the Bucs should literally beat this team Slick by at least 14 plus points. I say that because you are so much better. If you score early and put them down and make them one-dimensional, at this point, we just want to see. We know what, unfortunately, this is what I've seen. I've seen Baker's ceiling. We know where he is and who he is. Now, if he could change my mind by getting to the NFC title. If he goes to the playoff, let's say we find a way to get in the playoffs, Slick, and he fucking goes off to where he's throwing 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and because of him, we're in the NFC Championship. That is the only difference where I go, oh, you keep Baker. But at this point, Baker is who he is, as you said.
I also think he's not, like I said, I think he's coming across as a guy who can start and make plays. I think the issue is he needs to be backed up by a good supporting cast.
Yep.
And I think if you were to put him in a Rams team, a Rams team when it was loaded, like the year they won the Super Bowl, he can do a lot of damage and he'll probably have a good degree of success. Right. You put him on a team that's still figuring stuff out. It needs to be a proven team where the offensive coordinator is 100% set. The running back is 100% set. The line is pretty much set. The wide receivers are pretty much set. Maybe there's an argument for the 4th place. Once you have that, you put him in there. He can do a lot of and they have a solid defense, a top 10 defense. He will make plays for you, and he will be successful. I think the issue is when you put him when times are down and times are bad, he's got the grittiness. 100% has the grittiness. He has the toughness and his passion. I love everything about that competitor in the guy. But when the chips are down and you need him to make plays to win you a game, I find that he starts to wither and he doesn't do what's needed to be done.
Christopher Cole said it best. He's not hitting these guys open. And you're right. And there's been plays, if we go back and watch, I think sometimes that's when the receivers get frustrated because when he'll throw the ball, there's one play. Remember that play where he throws it to Evans and Evans has to adjust and hold the ball in the middle of the field and catches it? Mm-hmm. If he throws it in stride, that's a touchdown. That's another thing about Baker. It's too many things, contingencies that we have to do. Like I've told you this already. In the pocket, if he needs to know who his first option is within 2 seconds. I don't want Baker doing this because he doesn't have we know he don't have the height. But his assessment through reading routes all the time is not good enough.
Also, the longer you take doing it, the more chance you're getting sacked anyway. So you get the play should be set up that it's easy to go to the next read, to the next read, to the next read, because they almost kind of blend into each other. So you kind of go, no, yes.
Yep.
In that almost that kind of no, yes, or like no, where's my dump off? Boom.
And then for a guy like Baker and for a guy like Trash, you know what I would do in this offense? If I'm running spreads or if I'm in the shotgun, I need to have 2 check downs from the running back and from the receiver. And this is what I mean by that. I need to have a guy to do a shallow crossing route. The other guys can go out and do deep routes or intermediates, but I need that one guy Slick, to be underneath, to be his blanket, just in case. Two scenarios. One,
I got one for you, which I'm going to add to that beautiful little wrinkle that you've just put in there. As he runs his crossing route, he has an option to break back out to the sideline if the defender that's defending him has the separation, it has too much separation. So he'd be running to him, yeah?
yeah.
So he goes up, and as he's coming up, he says, "There's a gentleman here." As he's coming up, he goes, "Hang on, this guy's just sat here." I go that way. Now you've created more separation. So I would put that option in there. As a wrinkle to that, because I think that's a great counterpoint. You always want to have a second option in there, and then this would be someone like a Chris Godwin who's got that football acumen where he understands what's going on. I think that might be a little bit too advanced for Trey Palmer. I do generally think it. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not sat in a room with him. He might know it left, right, and center, and he'd be fine. But I think someone like Chris Godwin, dependable. You know he's going to make that smart move every single time, 999 times out of 10. So as he's running that crossing right, hang on. I don't need to. I've already got the separation. This is a moment where all I need to do is just get yardage. I don't need to go and make a big play. This is just get what yardage is given to me. First down, maybe a third down and short. As you're coming up, you put that foot in the ground and you go the opposite way, which means now the linebacker, it's usually a linebacker you're running into. The linebacker has to put his foot in the ground and he's coming across. I'm putting my money on a wide receiver like Chris Godwin winning that battle 990 times out of 1,000.
Hallelujah. And that's what I'm saying. And that's why if Baker cannot, he's a mobile guy too. If he cannot, if his mobility is any way limited, then why put him at risk? Again, there's two options. You can put Baker in if he's fucking up, or if the Bucs do it right and they're good, where they're up so much, sit him out. Let that leg heal, and let's see what Trash does. Because you're gonna have to see. At the end of the day, Buck fans, we just want to know. This is one of the games where I'm saying it like I want the Bucs to be so in control that we can see other players get opportunities. Again, we need a signature win. The Bucs haven't had that yet. This could be your game.
Win with Seattle.
Yeah, exactly.
Last year. So you could argue that. The Saints win was because of it being the Saints. You could really argue that because I'd say it's the first time you'd say the offense and defense were clicking together, but we really didn't. We should have done more.
Right.
We could have been really rubbed their nose into it and really embarrassed them.
We should have gave them a 38-3 stomping like they did us. This is why I want I wanted to do that against the Panthers. Before you got in there, I called them the Carolina Round because they just that's how piss poor they've been. But the Bucs offense, this is the game where I want the Bucs offense to be the heroes. This is the game where the Bucs offense, I need you to put up 27 points at least. 27 points. Give me 27 points. Keep that off your defense, and then splat out. You're good to go. You do that, Buck fans. We're talking about a whole nother situation, but I'm going to give you the last few words that I want you to give me because we're going to wrap this up. I want you to get back to your evening. What do you want to see? In 3 words, you want to see from this damn Bucs team tomorrow, and it could be either offense and defense or whatever. 3 words that you want.
Okay. It's that simple. Desire, fight, passion. I want the desire to win. I want the fight to win. I want the passion to win.
DFP, y'all. Desire, fight, passion. I like that. So, yes, that's what I want to. Intensity, adjustment, and attitude. That's what I need. That's the 3 I need. Yeah. Intensity, adjustment, and change the fucking attitude. So with that being said, guys, again, thank you all for tuning in tonight on the Aftermath on 102.9, the Game Broadcast Radio. Please continue to, again, show support. I cannot stress this enough. We want to get Coach Slick in here for an opportunity for this Buck organization to be an intern coach. It would mean the world because, one, he deserves it, and he just needs an opportunity. So please check that out. And as for me, guys, you can always check me out at It's About Buck and Time on my YouTube channel. Please go to my Instagram, AJ Turnip, and click the link and get the website and get free merch. But as always, Slick, take care of yourself and go Bucs.
I'll see you soon, brother. Look after yourself.
See you soon. Go Bucs.
See you soon, brother.